If you are interested in starting your own podcast, we use Buzzsprout because it is simple and easy to use. Buzzsprout can get your show listed on every major platform while giving you the resources for a great podcast website, audio players that can drop into other websites, detailed analytics to see how people are listening to your podcast, and tools to promote your episodes. Podcasting isn't hard when you have the right partners, and that is why over 100,000 podcasters are already subscribed to Buzzsprout to get their message out to the world. Following the link in our episode descriptions lets Buzzsprout know that we sent you. So in return, you will receive a $20 Amazon gift card from Buzzsprout while signing up for a paid plan. Most importantly, every subscription through our link is always appreciated and helps support our show so we can continue delivering the quality content that you guys listen to. That being said, back to the show.
Hello and welcome to Comic Book Junkies. I'm Andrew.
This is Joe.
And this week we're coming at you with a book review. It's been a little bit. We've done a lot of topic shows, some movie reviews, stuff of that nature. But we're hitting you with Final Crisis, the last Crisis book that we needed to read. You know, we read Crisis on Infinite Earths, Infinite Crisis, Identity Crisis. So we're going to hit you with the Final Crisis. So Joe, how about you start us off with a little bit of background on this series?
The writer is Grant Morrison, one of my favorite writers to ever do comic books. There's a lot of various different artists on this, and it came out in 2008, right before the New 52. I could be wrong, but I think it's the last Crisis before New 52. And so at this point, we would have read most of them. But what it contains is 7 issues for Final Crisis. Halfway in between, they do an issue called Submit. And then there's 4 other issues. There's 2 Superman issues from Superman Beyond. And then there's 2 issues from Batman. So Batman 682 and 683. So it's a pretty long read, but just so we can get through it, we'll start with issue 1 of Crisis, which is DOA, the God of War. So to begin, a gigantic shadow has been cast across the multiverse because there was a war in heaven and evil won. A character named Libra has gathered some villains to create a new secret society of supervillains. Libra claims he is the prophet of a god that is interested in helping villains, but the buy-in is that they must believe in his god. So the story now rewinds itself to the beginning of mankind. A man is visited by a being named Metron. Metron bestows this man the power of knowledge by introducing him to fire, which sets forth evolution. Fast forwarding to the current time, a man in a trench coat remarks that fire is the biggest first mistake in the human race. And this gentleman is working a case to find 6 missing children when he finds a dead Orion in a dumpster. So the skies begin to turn red. Jonathan Stewart, Green Lantern, is getting a message that something's about to go down. So the man that found Orion in the dumpster leaves the body and approaches the Question. The Question's a woman right now in the series. The original Question passed away from lung cancer, and so she took over the mantle. Their interaction is short, but she gives the guy a clue as to how he can find the missing children. Shortly after that, Jonathan Stewart finds Orion, and Hal Jordan shows up for backup. Orion's confirmed dead, so Hal Jordan reports it to the Guardians, who are now sending Special Operations Alpha Lantern Unit, while Stewart is contacting the Justice League.
Yeah, that's a pretty good lead into what does happen. It really sets up the big overarching tale. Like you said, they find, dead metahuman in a dumpster, which is Orion, the new god. And I like, too, that you see the Black Racer is kind of like following overhead while John's kind of investigating that. Because, anywhere like a god dies, the Black Racer is right there because, he's the one who snatches him up, dog. But, there's a lot of stuff that we could break down in this book. And honestly, it's hard to figure out where exactly I want to go. Moving past that, though, I do like the interactions between the rogues, specifically the Flash villains, and the other kind of society of supervillains that Libra's kind of gathering. Like the part that comes up after Hal tells the Guardians about what's going on. We see Dr. Light and the Mirror Master toss up a squad of Titans, and Dr. Light says he needs boner pills for his date with Giganta, and he asks if Mirror Master can get him some. And he's like, "No, dog." He's like, he says, "Why do you need those?" But past that, I mean, I just like that little interaction. It's goofy. goofy. But I do also like that Libra is trying to recruit big villains as well. He's not just going for like, some of the lesser rogues and stuff like that. He's trying to recruit Lex Luthor and company like that. But to Lex's point, he isn't really buying what Libra's selling. And I love that, because while Lex isn't somebody you're supposed to root for, in this context, it's like, why wouldn't you? Because, Lex ain't buying your bullshit, dude. Like, your as seen on TV sales pitch isn't going to work for him. This guy's fishy as hell. He'll go along with anything, and he's such a snake that nobody suspects a thing until the very end.
You're right. Libra uses Martian Manhunter as like a way to get Lex bought in and starts torturing him with fire, which is his weakness for those that don't know. But basically Lex is like, you're gonna have to do a lot more than that, like take down Superman if you're gonna want to like recruit somebody like me.
Right. And the best part is that Lex doesn't even like necessarily, he wouldn't even buy in if he could take care of Supes. Because like in Lex's world, if Libra can take down Supes and prove that to him, then he'll just be like, well, thanks for doing my job for me. So it's like, no matter what, Lex comes out on top, as much as one can who fights Superman. So I really liked that interaction and how they kind of set up his position in this story. But moving past that, I do like that they show that Darkseid is kind of like a human, as well as Calabac and Granny Goodness. Like all of the, new gods from Apocalypse, all of the evil folk are, kind of plotting amongst the humans, and they've got kids using anti-life and stuff. So we can see kind of where a lot of the plot threads start, and across this book, there's so many to kind of keep up with, but this is kind of the core of the story. And then moving from there, we see somebody that if you read Multiversity and stuff like that before, outside of this, we see Nix Yortan. I don't know exactly how to pronounce that, forgive me, but one of the monitors, we kind of see his fall from grace. He gets banished from the monitors, and he kind of wakes up as a normal dude in an apartment. And we kind of see his struggle from there to kind of figure out who he is and kind of
His
what's
struggle
going on.
working his freaking fast food job.
Yeah, dude, flipping burgers doesn't work when you're a fucking super monitor. And he's like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just, that sucks to be him, dude. He's just rambling nonsense. I mean, it's just like any other McDonald's you go to. You don't know who's at the drive-through window. They could be saying some weird shit to you. But there's so much to get into here. I mean, even like this, the sumo dude, I want to ask you about that. So there's a whole bunch of these weirdos that are kind of like low-level superheroes / whatever the hell, that I've never seen before. And there's this one sumo dude who's pretty badass, and he gets recruited by Shiloh Norman, the other Mr. Miracle, who, I guess for being a comic book junkie, I'm not fully aware of. Like, I know that he is another Mr. Miracle, but, we always think of Scott Free. So it was kind of cool to see Shiloh Norman actually be used, but we kind of see that plot thread kind of open up too.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes on. Morrison's really good at kind of bringing obscure characters to, the forefront of things. And to the sumo character that you referenced too, I mean, we'll circle back to it, but there's a panel towards the end of the series where he gets brought back. So I thought it was kind of one of the cooler introductions of a character that's lesser known or not as popular.
Yeah, Sumo Man got like burnt up too, and he just like shrugged it off and went to the bathroom and was just like washing his face and shit. He's like, leave me alone until, the new Mr. Miracle comes around. But I do also like this too. So as you mentioned, Martian Manhunter gets, tossed up in fire. So similar to Identity Crisis, we see another superhero funeral. But I do like that at this point, they go about it differently, and they actually are praying for like a resurrection and stuff like that. Like I kind of thought that it was funny that like they were bringing up those terms that, like, oh, I hope he comes back somehow, or I hope he gets resurrected. It's just like, how goofy does it have to be to die in like the DC universe, and all your homies are just like, there's a good chance, like better than 50-50 that he could come back someday. And
like, we'll gather some Dragon Balls and that'll be one of our wishes.
It's goofy. They just come to expect it now. But also, you brought up the Alpha Lanterns. I know you're on Green Lantern Corner, and I do like the Green Lanterns for as much shit as I've been talking about them, but is the main Alpha Lantern not the biggest bitch in the world?
Yeah, she sucks.
I hated her, dude. She always kept repeating that same line and just being like rude about everything. And then Batman says, who voted for y'all to help? And I thought that was hilarious, because he's like, why are you guys here? He's like, who appointed you?
She's rude as hell. Tells Batman he's not qualified to determine Orion's cause of death, and then tells the Justice League that she's taking over the investigation. The League's kind of turned off by that, but they continue to do what they do anyway, but it was very unpleasant.
Yeah, and Past that, we see Hal getting framed for murdering Orion and tossing up John, at the investigation site, but Superman and Batman don't buy it. So there's a whole lot of fishy stuff going on that nobody has answers for. And then immediately after all that, Batman ends up getting snatched. So it's just like things are not going well for the squad at all on any level. So they've got a murder mystery on their hands yet again. They don't even know really where to start because the technology on Earth isn't really good for figuring out what kind of bullet kills a new god. And then they have these dickhead alpha lanterns coming in and telling them they're not qualified. And then they don't really do anything except be rude and like fly away. So shit's pretty bad.
This issue basically concludes that Batman's in a sticky situation. Lois Lane gets blown up right in front of Superman. Both Flashes, Jay and Wally, find the hangout where Libra has been conducting all of his meetings. And although the villains aren't there, the same bullet that killed Orion is now coming after them. And so it is kind of a crazy issue. But at the very end of the issue, we do see what looks like Barry trapped in the Speed Force.
Now, how cool is that? Now, I love the Flashes, and I love that they're pretty important in this. Granted, they don't get maybe as much time as, Batman, Superman, and some of the others in this book, but they are pivotal to solving everything by the time we see this book end. The Flashes play a very important role, especially that character that looks like Barry Allen coming back, because Home Dog's been dead since the original Crisis back in, 85? So it was pretty wild for, Wally and Jay to just be running and see their homie just like running next to him and be like, oh wait, what? So I thought that was cool because he at that point popped out of the Mobius chair and was like flipping out at him. And I thought that was a very cool kind of like teaser right there. But yeah, moving past that, there's a whole bunch more stuff going on. So yeah, Barry's alive. I like that the villains are in the old school fortress in the swamp.
That is pretty cool.
Exactly.
That's a throwback.
That's classic. Like we need more of that. And I like how the Human Flame has like some goofy dialogue with Libra, because Libra's kind of being like a suitor to the Human Flame, because the Human Flame's kind of like a dud dude. He kind of sucks. He's just kind of like a fat dude who tries. And
he takes like the most expendable member of the villains and makes him put on this new costume in private. The guy isn't really nervous about it because the mask keeps like, it has voices in it.
Yeah.
But Libra forcefully sticks it on his face, and the timing's perfect because Lex Luthor opens up the door as he's doing it, and the helmet that was put on the villain is powered by anti-life, and now the guy's brainwashed. So like Lex is like, yeah, dude, definitely not fucking joining your crew. So
I like how before that in private too, the Human Flame's telling Libra, he's like, I'm pretty low level and I'm not actually that sweet. He's like, why do you keep doing all this stuff for me? And Libra like feeds him a line of bullshit, and he's like, you're very important in all this, blah blah blah, because obviously he wants him to put on the helmet. But Libra, just being like the casual dude bro he is, he's like, it's almost gay how much you keep doing for me, Libra. He thinks Libra's coming on to him by doing him all these favors, and it's like, no dude, you're just dumb. Like, he's using you for the anti-life helmet. He's like, do you love me, dude? He's right. Like, you killed Martian Manhunter for me and you're getting me a sick helmet. That's crazy. It was just goofy. I thought I was just like, like a time and place like where Grant Morrison thought that was hilarious. I thought it was kind of goofy. But yeah, I like that like you said, Luthor interrupts and is kind of held up and forced to join Darkseid or be mindless. He's like, no, and he just kind of dips.
Well, you got to think about it. I mean, who's Libra to tell Lex what to do?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Like this is the new guy on the block, and Lex is like the leader of all the villains, like 99 out of 100 times.
I will say that Libra did do a good job of like getting buy-in from all the villains. It almost seemed like Lex was the odd man out for a while.
Yeah, it was very easy for him to convince the rest. But Lex is skeptical of everything. He's the one who makes these decisions. He isn't the one being told what's going on. He's the one who's telling them what to do. And so he's like, wait, are you trying to take my job? And I mean, that's how I would act if someone was openly trying to steal my job. I'd be like, I don't know about you, dude. He's like, you listen to me.
100. I don't care what you did with Manhunter.
Right, dude. Like, who are you?
He does successfully kind of fuck Superman up, though, because I guess bringing it back to Superman, Clark's in the hospital with Jimmy because Lois got blown up. And
hell yeah, she did.
We see Perry on life support, too. And Jimmy makes a comment about not seeing Superman since the accident, but Clark doesn't really care at all at this point because he's just worried about Lois. We see him watching over her and find out the only thing keeping her alive is his heat vision, which is pretty cool. But
that's cool.
A different alien looking chick not the the Green Lanterns, but somebody else comes, and she tells Clark right off the bat that she knows he's Superman, and she's offering him one chance to save Lois's life, but he's got to come with her right away. And so I guess going back to the other alien chick, the Alpha Lanterns are now taking Hal for trial in front of the Justice League, but they know it's a mistake, so they don't really fight it too hard. Hal assures them that everything's going to be okay, but Wonder Woman is a little more sensible about it. She's convinced that Darkseid has to be involved because there's a new god in a dumpster. Batman's missing. Superman is at the bed of his dying wife. Nothing's going right. And later on, when Wonder Woman is basically on her own, she spots Mary Marvel, but looks completely different. So we find out now that she's under control by Darkseid and begins to attack Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman's able to hold her own, obviously, but Mary mentions something about the anti-life equation going global in 5 minutes and then hits her with this glass vial. So at the end of the issue, Barry Allen and Wally West stop running, but when they take a moment to look around, we find Darkseid is in complete control of not only Mary Marvel, but Wonder Woman, and they're ready to kill.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. Like, especially when they introduced Mary, I was just like, what the hell did you do to Mary, dude? She looked like a fucking Hot Topic manager.
Yeah, she did. That's also Morrison's problem. Sometimes he gets a little carried away or heavy-handed.
Yeah, I mean, I get it because she's infected by like an Omega virus type deal, the anti-life, blah, blah, blah. But like, that was pretty drastic for her to dye her hair pink and like wear like a weird dominatrix style outfit and it coming out the sides of her head and all this other weird shit. But I do like, in a different way, how cool it is that Mary can go toe to toe with Wonder Woman, because you know me and my Marvel family supremacy. I like that, if old Billy can stand toe to toe with Superman, I like that Mary can stand toe to toe with Wonder Woman and technically gets the upper hand. So I thought that was pretty sick. I do like the part where Freddy is, kind of just hanging out and he's all bummed that Mary and Billy are gone. And I like that he also, Freddy had the actual powers of Shazam at this point, didn't he? He wasn't Captain Marvel Jr. in this story. He had the red suit on and everything. And this is getting ahead of myself, but I like that Talkie Tawny's in this too. I just love seeing the full Marvel family in anything in the mainstream anymore. We need to get that respect back, especially when they're Captain Marvel like this and they're still the Marvel family and you can actually use them in interesting ways in the overall universe. But that's besides the point.
Basically wraps up that issue, and then Morrison takes a break from Final Crisis, and this is where we get that like Superman break. So parts 1 and 2. So part 1, this issue starts off with Superman's chest getting melted by like laser vision by some bat looking thing. And moments prior, we see the lady from the last issue that found Clark with Lois in the hospital.
That monitor chick.
Yeah. She tells Clark that she needs him to save the world. Although he's nervous about Lois, he feels that she's telling the truth and agrees to go with her. So Superman, amongst others, are suddenly pulled into limbo and from different frequencies. And in limbo, Superman finds the library of limbo, which apparently only has one book that no one is allowed to read. Naturally, Superman and gang go take a look at the book. We find out no one can actually read it, though, because it's an infinite amount of pages. Superman and Shazam try their best with the book, but Shazam gets burnt and reverts back to Billy. But at the end of the first part, the sky shatters and Ultraman tells Superman that evil always wins in the end.
How cool is that, though? Like I said, I'm a sucker for a Superman and Shazam team up, and I've read a lot of them now at this point, and they're always dope because they're honestly like they're two sides of the same coin pretty much. But I like that we've got Ultraman there and Overman. We've got like Superman's up the wazoo, and Overman gets tossed up, or so it seems, and Mandrak awakes. And so this dude's pretty much like a former monitor, or he is a monitor, I guess, but he's also like a space vampire and a real evil guy. But Overman says, we got to kill all these vampires. And Billy says, Nazis are not going to tell me what to do. And I thought that was sick. I was like, hell yeah, Billy. And, he turns back into Captain Marvel and puts all the pieces together. What's his face? Captain Atom. He's not Captain Atom. His name's Adam at this point. He's tweaking this whole time. He's been with them too. He's like their best bet at, having a smart dude on board to help them figure things out. He's kind of almost like a Dr. Manhattan analog. Obviously, if he's a Captain Atom. So he's tweaking this whole time, and they need him to keep it together. Vampire God monitors are preying on the multiverse, apparently, and Mandrak roasts his own chick. So Mandrak just is tossing all the monitors and everybody else up that he can. But Superman, being the Superman he is, beats Mandrak and goes to destroy the Destroyers, I believe, with Captain Marvel and Overman, which I thought was super cool because just like weird, like, what is it, Nazi Superman, Overman, but he's still like smart enough to align with the good guys in this instance, like as where Ultraman can't. Ultraman's still a dick no matter what, which is hilarious. Ultraman's worse than a Nazi, and
to the very end too.
And he turns into Ultraman vampire. So
yes, that was one of the cooler things to come out of this, even though it doesn't really go anywhere. Yeah, but Superman is able to resolve everything, and he secures this elixir that's supposed to save Lois, but
the bleed.
The whole time they're saying that he can't take it back to Earth, only they can bring it, and like it's very unstable that way. But
false.
Apparently he's the exception to the rule, like he always is, and he's able to like bring it back in his mouth and like give it to Lois as a kiss.
Yeah,
I thought that was kind of weird.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't like keister it and just he was taking cigarettes into jail.
Yeah, dude, I didn't understand that part.
Yeah, dude, he just kissed her lifeless corpse, and he had bleed in his mouth the whole time. So what? Did he not talk the whole ride home? But like, hey, Superman, why won't you say anything? Chaw dogging, dude. Yeah. He kept spitting it in like a cup that can hold it. But yeah, it was pretty goofy.
All right, Lois is safe.
Thank God.
Then before going back to Final Crisis, they have that, what I was referring to, submit. So it's like a short story in the middle of everything. And Black Lightning is being chased by some buff looking dogs, and he's quick to shock the hell out of them. So even bigger dogs end up coming. And
Michael Vick is Black Lightning. Damn.
I'll sign my name on that petition. But yeah, so he finds a family, a dad and a son. So Black Lightning goes to save them, but that family is like such a pain in the ass. The dad hates superheroes, and Black Lightning saves him anyways, but he just complains the whole time. And
yeah,
we find out that the whole family was hanging out in like an abandoned school. So Black Lightning tells them that they have to pack everything up because it's not going to be too much longer before more stuff starts going wrong. So reluctantly, the family trusts him, and they take a school bus to get the fuck out of there. But more dogs start showing up and chasing down the bus. The family starts blasting them with their Glocks, which is sweet. But Black Lightning ends up crashing the bus, but he crashes it at the start of a tunnel. So at the end of the tunnel, that's like the light at the end of the tunnel. It's a safe spot. The dad's still mad at Black Lightning and superheroes, and the guy's son just shoots Black Lightning, thinking that's what his dad would want. But
Father of the year, shoot the superhero.
But the family comes to their senses and runs for safety, but it's at the expense of Black Lightning, which didn't deserve any of that crap, to be honest.
It's just so weird, though, that it's the Tattooed Man's family, and it's not the original Tattooed Man. It's like the second one, just a rinky-dink Green Lantern villain from like the Silver Age, but they reimagined him. And this one's basically like, just like you said, an angry guy who hates superheroes, even though they're saving him from certain death. But yeah, they all get caught by the anti-life gang. They really are, dude. Like, apparently the Tattooed Man needs to spend more time at home instead of committing crimes. They all get tossed up by the anti-life gang, dude. They all get caught. Yeah. Well, not everybody, but pretty much everybody.
They're able to like relay some of the information. So like it starts in issue 4 of Final Crisis about what happened to Black Lightning. And so Green Arrow knows everything that's going on, like how Darkseid's in complete control. But not too long after that, brainwashed Black Lightning shows back up and other minions. And now Green Arrow is the one to kind of sacrifice himself for the family. Right. This issue basically just recaps everything so so far, and then kind of sets up the stakes moving forward. So at the end of the issue, Barry finds Iris and gives her a kiss. Something happens in that moment that suggests that they'll be able to like negate the power of anti-life, which is good. But on the other hand, Darkseid finally makes like a full appearance in the last page of the issue.
Oh, did you see? Sorry to go back a little bit. There were two things that I liked. Shazam recruits Black Adam, which we've kind of seen before in past stories. You know, we get Black Adam involved with the heroes. Love that. Even though I do see him as one of the ultimate villains, I do love seeing him just team up because he's so ruthless. Like, it's like if Superman didn't give a shit. So I like that because who wouldn't want him on your squad? But the fact that, you know, Darkseid's minions, all the anti-life people, he's already converted because at this point, anti-life's been spreading through screens and the internet. So like a lot of the population has succumbed to the anti-life equation. They're kind of working in like a warehouse type deal. And one of the signs says to die on the job is to die for Darkseid. And I was just like, that
That's
feels
sweet.
Like such an Amazon thing. Like, you think Jeff Bezos was like, oh, that's a good idea.
Him and Elon put that slogan together.
He's got him up in the Amazon warehouse. But yeah, like you were saying, Darkseid's getting reborn at this point. Home Dog from the beginning, like that detective dude, I forget his name. He is pretty much the human host for Darkseid. And while he tries to fight Darkseid off, some random guy is not going to fight Darkseid off. And of course, his body's going to get taken over. But that happens. And then we see a little bit more of the Green Lantern action going on. So Alpha Lantern Kraken, I think that was her name. She gets exposed by Guy and Kyle while Hal's on trial because hell yeah, dude, Guy rules.
He's always exposing him.
Yeah, dude. Guy literally just shows up everywhere and just talks shit and exposes people. He's always got receipts.
Oh yeah, while like, Hal's on trial, he's like, yeah, she implanted something in his head, tried to kill Jon Stewart, and it's actually because she's the host of an apocalypse god. Bam, mic drop.
Bam. He's like, Guy, how'd you figure that out? He's like, don't worry about it.
Right.
we don't see any of Guy figuring this out. He just comes with receipts. He's like, yep, this is what happened. And
she agrees though. Guy. She comes clean immediately and starts causing a ruckus, and Hal Jordan is able to like break free and stop her. And Hal Jordan's now cleared of all his charges, gets his ring back, and has 24 hours to kick Darkseid's ass. Doesn't really do shit. To find out later. But back to where shit's pretty crazy. Black Adam and Shazam team up to fight Mary. Supergirl and Jon Stewart also try helping while the Lanterns are showing up. But while that's going on, Darkseid is kind of like closer to full strength now. And then that's where the Batman issues come into play. So I don't know if you'll have a lot to talk on this, but I didn't write anything. We actually read both of these issues already. They were a part of Batman RIP. So if you guys haven't listened to that episode, I highly recommend you listen to it. So that's a more full rundown. But these issues basically just allowed us to reflect on like the adversities Bruce Wayne has experienced and how it's like cemented his role as Batman. So I don't have too much to say other than that.
No, I'm gonna just jump in and just piggyback off you. It's literally just detailing Batman's origin and then showing alternate futures because they want to put his brain into the lump and make an evil army. But who gives a fuck? This was in a different story.
Facts.
So moving on from there, dude.
That brings us to the last two issues of Final Crisis. So issue 6, this issue starts off with Superman being introduced to like a god weapon outside of the timeline. Meanwhile, back on the battlefield, Mary is holding her own against all of them. Black Adam, Shazam, Supergirl, and Shazam is finally able to muster up the last little bit of magic and strength to like wrap around her and transform back into Freddy, which in turn also makes her a kid too, so she's no longer possessed by Darkseid. So while that's going on, Talkie Tawny had one of the best moments in the whole freaking story.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, this is like the little niche corner of Marvel Family Corner that we get to talk about in this. And I'm glad that Grant Morrison was willing to just write them into sweet parts. Before Mary gets transformed back, though, how about ugly goth Mary beating the shit out of Supergirl and calls her a slut?
Right?
She's
it's like something you'd see on the Maury show.
Right. It was just like a street fight, dude. Like, cash me outside, you slut. And Supergirl's like, coming from you. And that was wild, but I was just like, that's silly as hell. But like you said, Talkie Tawny, that was so cool. Like Talkie Tawny never gets his due. Usually he's just a goofy suit wearing tiger who's like a glorified butler. No, dude, he's fighting Tiger Calabac, who Calabac apparently is being reincarnated as in a tiger body. I don't know why Darkseid chose a tiger body for like his like ugly son, but they're like duking it out in front of the other tiger people. And at first he's getting his ass beat, dude, because Calabac's like a apocalypse god, evil strong guy, and Talkie Tawny's just a talking tiger. And no, dude, he slashes him like in the guts and then like makes all the other like tiger people, he's like, so how about that? And it was just so cool. I mean, you could probably elaborate further, but it was just, you know, bravo. Talkie Tawny held his own, dude.
That's what I was saying. Like Morrison's got such like a vast knowledge of all these characters that he like places them very like strategically, or you know, in a very fitting manner. But I guess back to the story, Libra tries to kill Lex Luthor and Savannah, but
That's
obviously
cool.
they're way too smart for that shit. So Libra finally gets tossed up in this issue. All three Flashes are together again, and they're trying to formulate a plan to take down Darkseid. The Black Racer, as you mentioned before, that chased him earlier on in the story, only comes for Dying Gods, and so they're going to let the Black Racer chase them again, but trick it into taking out Darkseid, which will require them to run faster than they've ever run before. Batman ends up finding Darkseid at this time and tells him that he shouldn't have shot Orion. Batman also confronts him and tells him he knows that Orion hurt him beyond repair, and although Batman has a no gun policy, he's ready to shoot this motherfucker with the same bullet that killed Orion. So Batman
says it's cool this time.
Yeah, he does. Batman does not play any games, so he shoots Darkseid in the chest, which is the other coolest part of the book. But Darkseid also hits Batman with his laser beam thing at the same time, so they're both pretty cooked.
The Omega Sanction.
At the very end of the issue, Superman comes from the sky, and he's coming in hot, hot, hot. He immediately breaks through a wall, and as the dust settles, he's holding Batman in his arms, but Batman is lifeless.
Yeah, that was pretty messed up. Sorry to go back again. You know, I always like going back. Sorry, everyone. But Savannah and Luthor team up. How have we not seen more of that? You know, arguably the two smartest villains, and they're both evil to the core too. Like they're smart and they have like a sense of like, you know, their own pride and morals and all that. But at their core, they don't give a shit, dude. They want to kill basically the two strongest super people out there. So it's like, why haven't we seen them team up more? Like other than Superman and Shazam teaming up, who could stop them? But yeah, I like that the Flashes, like I foreshadowed earlier, how important they are to this story. All three of them are literally so smart to incorporate the Black Racer into, you know, the ultimate plan. Because I mean, I don't think that they knew that Batman was going to shoot Darkseid at the same time when you make him even more vulnerable for the Black Racer to go get him. But how about the fact too that, you know, Wally states that he's like, you know, the Black Racer, I, you know, raced him when he was like the Black Flash and I can outrun him. Like that was such a flex because, you know, Jay can't really do that generally. And hell, Barry probably can't either. Like Wally's the fastest dude and he could dust anybody.
Wally's my favorite.
Honest to God. And it's like, especially when you grew up in our generation, even if you weren't reading the comics, he was always our animated Justice League Flash. It wasn't Barry, it was always Wally. And, you know, he's always cracking wise and, you know, just being like a cool dude. I love anything that has the Flashes involved. But yeah, I mean, the Omega Sanction hits Batman after Batman decides to pop a cap in Darkseid's ass. Superman returns, as you said. And then we see in a different universe, there's kind of like an envoy. Shazam and gang roll up to the new universe of Obama Superman. And they're pretty much there as like the first crew to kind of see if they can either, you know, get help or, you know, worst case scenario, kind of take solace somewhere. Because everybody's trying to make a contingency plan, you know, in case they can't win, they need to take whatever survivors are left and kind of migrate to a new universe, which is something they ask Renee Montoya, the new question, to kind of help spearhead as well. And she's like, why me? Which I also agree, why her? But everyone's fighting Darkseid. Turpin actually becomes free. So the dude's name, it finally came to me. It's Turpin, is that goofy old white guy that Darkseid takes over.
Dan Turpin. And I'm not even going to pretend like I knew who he was prior to reading this. I had to look it up.
Oh, no, me neither.
He appeared in like issue 60 something of Detective Comics. So he's actually like an OG. He was a member of the Gotham City Police. Were you gonna say something?
No, I got nothing for that. I don't know shit about Turpin, dude.
Okay, but I love the dialogue between Darkseid and Superman. So Superman's pissed, and Darkseid is fatally injured and starts mocking Superman, which provokes Superman to hold him by the throat. But even still, Darkseid knows that Superman doesn't kill, so he keeps talking more shit. And to make the situation stickier, Darkseid is just using Dan Turpin's body, and so Superman's obviously not going to destroy him. So although the hope feels kind of lost at this point, we finally see the flashes, and they're coming in hot, hot, hot. And Barry tells Wally that this was never about his life and that he basically was brought back to save Superman. Wally refuses to let that fall on Barry, though, and luckily their plan's working because they ran right past Darkseid and Black Racer fucked him all the way up.
Yeah, that shit was pretty crazy because, you know, the plan worked. It's kind of crazy, too, how it was all kind of coincidental, how Batman was doing his thing against Darkseid. Flashes didn't know about that. Superman's there. I don't think that they necessarily counted on that other than like some weird fate feeling they have. But, you know, Dog is tossed up, and then we see stuff get a little bit more abstract because, you know, in order to kind of fix things and to, you know, interact with the other universes, because obviously skies are red and, you know, you could see planets from your planet and none of that's good. You know how you get vibrations to go deal with other universes? You got to sing, dog. So Superman sings like a motherfucker. I don't know what he was singing, dude. It was just musical notes. I wish they put some lyrics on there. It would have been funny to see him sing something.
The Rocket Man.
Rocket Man. Yeah, that'd be goofy. That'd be so dumb, but all this does is pretty much lead Superman to power like a miracle machine and deal with Mandrake, that stupid space vampire, again, because he's a party pooper, dude. Like, they just dealt with Darkseid and now we got the goddamn space vampire coming back to bother him. And you know, everyone is kind of uniting again because now apparently Darkseid wasn't a big enough villain, that Mandrake is apparently, it requires all hands on deck. Captain Marvel and gang are, you know, all the Superman analogs are kind of flying in together, dude, just carpooling. And I like this little bit where Captain Marvel sees Captain Carrot and he says, "You remind me of an old friend." And I was just like, great reference. And for those of you that don't know, I mean, I don't blame you because he's basically a Golden Age character only, but Hoppy the Marvel Bunny was one of the first, probably the first super powered rabbit like ever. And you know, he's pretty much just Shazam but a rabbit. So I thought that was kind of cool. It's just like a goofy little reference, but it kind of speaks to the fact that you said, you know, Grant Morrison, his knowledge goes deep, and you know that, you know, there's a lot of stuff they can call back on and do whatever, you know, they're going to do within their story. You know, everyone comes to destroy Mandrake, though. Obviously, you know, we're getting to the very end of the book here. I'm going to spoil it for you. Mandrake does get defeated.
Why did they throw him in the last few pages? Like, before we get to the conclusion, like, it was just such a brief full circle thing. I feel like they could have just left him in those Superman issues.
I know. I guess it's just something that Grant Morrison wanted to do just to make and also resolve a Monitor storyline. Because we, like, if we didn't deal with Mandrake, then why did we even introduce Nick Suotan and Ouija Dell and all the fucking rest of the Monitors? Even though, you know, back in 1985 we just had the Monitor, and it's like they're gonna do what they're gonna do. And but
that's where I feel like he could lay back a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, having like the one Monitor, I think, is plenty for me.
Yeah, I mean, there was a Monitor and then there was an anti-Monitor, and everything was balanced. And now there's one anti-Monitor and then there's like 100+ monitors, and they're kind of just like a stronger version almost. Not even, because like what they show us of them is like they're all just annoying bureaucrats. They're kind of like the Guardians of Oa. They're pretty much more humanoid, slightly less annoying Guardians.
I don't know.
Just pencil pushers, dude.
They don't do much for me.
No, they don't do shit for me, dude. They sharpen pencils and they file fucking paperwork, and they are annoying and they think that they're cool. Right. But they're not cool.
There's too much going on.
Pointless people.
At the very end, they tease Batman is still alive somehow, and that's kind of what concludes the series.
Literal, dude. So get this: Darkseid's Omega beams don't actually kill you; they send you back in time. I mean, that's silly as hell. Come on.
That is stupid.
That's dumb as fuck. So you're telling me that there's going to be caveman Batman, and then through that storyline, he becomes what, like pirate Batman, and then what, he becomes like Christopher Columbus Batman, and then all the way, like he somehow lives through to the present day somehow. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Back to the Future Batman, he fucking drives backwards in a DeLorean.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they're reaching, bro. But what's your take? What's your overview?
Okay, now, I feel like I always have more fun recounting these stories than I did reading them. This was a goddamn chore. Arguably, it was my least favorite Crisis. There were obviously parts that I pointed out to you that I liked, but just the pacing of it, the random issues that were included, like the parts that were kind of unnecessary. It's like trying to get lightning in a bottle like 3 times. It doesn't happen twice, but let alone 3 times. But yeah, I mean, I'll give it like maybe this sounds generous based on what I said, but like anywhere between a 6.5 out of 10. Like, it wasn't the worst thing I read because there were cool points. I generally trust Grant Morrison. The book looked fine. There was a lot of cool callbacks, a lot of obscure characters used. It kind of had a little bit of everything, but it also had a little bit too much of everything, I guess. It's like, would you rather have a couple really good things or a lot of like some decent things, So it wasn't bad by any means, but I don't view it as essential. Even for my critiques of the aging of like the original Crisis on Infinite Earths, I feel like that's more essential reading. It's probably still arguably a better read, even though there's parts that are, kind of boring as well. But like, I could have done without this, honestly, and not really needed much. Like, this is more of like a resetting the table in 2008 type thing. It's not like you need to know this to understand the DC universe type thing. So I think that if you're a comic fan who hasn't read it and you want something to read and you don't care what it is, then read this. But I can't say that like if you're getting into it or you haven't read it and there's other things you want to read, that I would recommend moving this up in your queue or anything. I'd say if you get to it, you get to it, that type of deal. What do you think?
We're on the same page again. I'd give it anywhere between like a 6.5 and a 7 out of 10. For how much there was going on, it was well done, but I also don't like it when there's too much going on because it kind of takes you out of the story a lot of the times. And when you're so distracted and pulled in so many different directions, it took me out quite a few times, despite how good of a writer Morrison is. He specializes in stories pertaining to like space and the multiverse, so he didn't miss, but it's definitely my least favorite of the Crisis stories, and maybe my least favorite thing I've read by Morrison. Although he was able to make the universe feel so connected, it was a boring conclusion to the story, which is lame because there weren't a lot of good parts of the story. So it was never like super engaging. I was never like glued, which is unfortunate because Morrison's my guy. I also feel that the Superman and Batman issues, even though they gave us more insight, they could have just been optional, especially the Batman stuff. I get that he was the writer for Batman RIP, but like, I don't feel like it really did anything.
Story.
Yeah. So I would have left that as an option for readers. But like I mentioned earlier, they come full circle with a lot of things in the very last issue, like the Vampire Ultraman thing and Superman's introduction to like that God weapon. But it was pretty boring how they concluded it. So I don't know why he didn't leave a lot of the stuff out. Lastly, it was really cool that they brought back Barry Allen for this story. So I did appreciate that. But my question to you is, why did they do Martian Manhunter like that?
Because they could, dude.
Man, he's so cool, and they just like, I don't know, treated him like he ate shit.
Well, it's just the state of comics at any fucking given point. It just proves that it's not just right now where editorial doesn't know what they're doing, but it just shows that back then too, that they just were like, who could we toss aside for pretty much no reason? The Martian Manhunter, one of the coolest characters we have. And they're just like, nah, we could just light him on fire to satisfy the human flame of all people. I mean, like, I get it. You want to try and make an impactful death, or it's not impactful, but to kind of raise the stakes. Like, this is who we're dealing with. But him, especially when they got, like, they kind of folded like a house of cards pretty quick, all within like 1 to 2 issues. Like, all of that buildup was for naught. We didn't even see the villains really do anything with that power. I mean, they literally just we barely even saw them with their mind control helmets on. We mostly saw like Wonder Woman, Mary Marvel, and, the heroes that they converted against their will, like Black Lightning and Ollie. I don't know, dude. It's just at any given point, they just want to shock people people, and then there's some dipshits who are like, "Ooh, this is a key. Martian Manhunter died." It's like, yeah, dude, he's gonna come back. He's Martian Manhunter. Which, by the way, this is like a side tangent now. Well, how about like the noticeable lack of Martian Manhunter during like the New 52 up until they tried to start scrapping it, and then they gave him like terrible series and made him look dumb. And they're like, "Hey, Martian Manhunter's here again, guys." But it took all the way back until Rebirth for them to make him like a Justice League member and to do anything worthwhile.
So
Why is my
rotten.
boy not getting respect? He's a borderline golden / silver age turn character. He's not some new dude that they just made like in, the 80s or the 90s. Like, he's established and he's
Right.
well loved.
And he's really strong. And they're always making him out to be a pussy. And like
Yeah,
it
dude.
kind of goes back to like the death episode that we did, like when they killed him in the beginning of the series, like it just didn't even feel like significant because like that like it's not gonna impact anything moving forward. So
It's like, what is he, dude? He's always dying to fire and like migraines. What is he, like a mosquito? It's like, leave my man alone. He just wants to eat Oreos and hang out.
yeah, bully someone else.
Yeah, bully someone else for sure. I'm with you, dude. Like, there's enough characters that we could bully. Like, we could bully anybody who hangs out with Aquaman. Who else is good to bully in the DC universe? There's got to be good people to bully. Why are they not coming to me? It's because I put myself on the spot. There's a lot of characters that, can you bully Harley Quinn? No, she just kind of sucks. That's a personal take.
Anyway, that
Anywho's
concludes
it.
my thoughts on the book. Is there anything else that you have?
No, there's really not too much else I have for this book. I think we just let them know what we're going to do next time.
All right. So this is something that Berger had recommended. So we recently downloaded it. It's called The Flash Rebirth by Jeff Johns. So we're going to go back to one of his stories. This may be our first Flash book that we've read for the pod. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, first dedicated Flash book. Obviously, you heard my excitement about any involvement the Flash has had in this story. For being a comic book junkie, I haven't read this story, but I've heard all the great things about this run and, kind of reestablishing Barry, one of Jeff Johns, favorites, those Silver Age characters, and, kind of bringing him back to the forefront after being dead for, over like 20 years. So I'm pretty pumped to read that and see what it's all about. But I have a question for you guys. I don't know if you'll answer me or not, but, let us know if you can. How would you feel about us getting away from some of the bigger stories here and there and going for some like more on the low type stuff, like some abstract, weird, lesser known books? Would you want to hear some weird stuff? I have a few things in mind, and I'm trying to pitch them to Joe, but we'll see how it goes. Expect maybe at least one weird thing coming soon. I think it'll be fun. That said, I'm going to cut off my little side tangent there. I'm not going to give you the whole spiel. You know what it is. If you like us, you like us. If you don't, you don't. And, we appreciate you for listening regardless, and we'll catch you next time.
All right, guys. Till next time.